Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming swiftly back from the short break we had. I'm delighted to have Baroness Shields with us today. I'll always remember her as Joanna, who did so much for the growth of the tech sector in Tech City, and almost probably indirectly as much for the growth of the barber shops and flat white industry in Shoreditch at the same time. But today we have the pleasure of having her to talk to us, in particular about internet safety in her role as the Parliamentary Under Secretary of State for Internet Safety and Security. And without further ado, I'll leave Baroness Shields to enlighten us. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for inviting me here today. I think you're all coming together on a regular basis, but of course, heading off to Guadalajara and the importance of the work that you're doing. And I just wanted to say how deeply the work you're doing resonates with me, because the safety of children online and young people in the connected world is kind of become a life mission for me. I know all of you guys think about the internet and you think about the future, and you're probably asking yourselves, how do we keep the internet free and open so that it can continue to thrive? You ask yourself questions like, how do we stay safe from cyber attacks and other nefarious influences online? How most recently, in the last couple of weeks, how does social media influence political debate or in some sense manipulate public opinion? Or how can businesses thrive in the digital economy? All these are really important issues, and I just wanted to recognize the importance of all of you in this dialogue, and thank you for all of that you contribute to this process. So earlier today, you heard from my colleague Matt Hancock on some of the topics which I'm going to touch upon, and I'm sure there's going to be more lively conversation. I wanted to commend you for bringing together this youth panel. That's the most important thing, I think, that I heard that you're doing here today. So giving these young people a voice to bring their thoughts and ideas to these most important debates is really important. Today, according to Ofcom, incidentally, 87% of kids ages 5 to 15 are online, which is extraordinary. We all know that the internet brings them incredible opportunities, enriching their lives and offering them new ways to communicate and to be creative, to stay in touch, to learn about the world. But just yesterday, Ofcom reported that for the first time, 5 to 15-year-olds spend more time each week online than watching TV. Now, that was no surprise to me as the mother of a 17-year-old. That's over 15 hours each week on average. And 87% of the 12 to 15-year-olds use YouTube or other popular apps every day. So many young people are sophisticated users of apps, and they're probably the best in terms of the range of devices. They use them more proficiently than most adults, for that matter, including game consoles. And the lives of this generation are obviously, they're more engaged and integrated with technology than any generation that came before them. And they have different expectations, too, from digital communications compared with the adults that are meant to guide them in their lives. So while the internet's brought all kinds of great good to the world, it unfortunately also has its challenges and unanticipated consequences. It reflects the ills and dangers in society, and children and young people in particular are vulnerable to a range of new risks online. They may be exposed to age-inappropriate material, such as pornography, or extreme violence, or most recently, hate speech. They can fall prey to cyberbullying. Their personal images might be shared online without their permission, or they may seek to imitate dangerous behavior. Under 18s may also not fully know how to protect their privacy, and they may share where they live, or they may start to interact with strangers that can lead to threats or abuse, or in worst cases, physical and sexual and psychological harm. I passionately believe that in order to protect children from harm and violence online in this connected century, that we must actively engage and secure their safety, which is why groups like the IGF are so important. I'd like to share how government is doing this while ensuring that children and young people continue to benefit from the opportunities the internet delivers. The UK has in place a range of robust defenses to protect children from sexual abuse, exploitation, and exposure to harmful material and activity online. To bring the online world in line with the offline world, we've introduced recently new legislation to ensure that children are restricted from viewing commercial pornography content online. While government itself can drive change to improve child internet safety, and we will continue to do so, we believe in the benefits of a long-term partnerships with industry and other experts like yourselves, as this is vital to ensure the safety and rights of children are protected going forward. Successful partnerships require a common understanding and an acceptance of what can and must be done, a shared vision of the future, and a drive and commitment by a range of people and organizations that may not always be in a natural fit. I've been privileged to work with 2 initiatives that have a strong shared purpose and commitment to protect children online. The first is the UK Council for Child Internet Safety, and the second is the We Protect Global Alliance, which I'm proud to have been part of the founding of. And my conclusion is that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. The government has a strong track record in working with internet and technology industries and the charity sector to improve the safety of children online. We have the UK Council for Child Internet Safety representing over 200 organizations with an interest in child internet safety. I am one of the co-chairs along with my ministerial colleagues from the Department of Education and the Home Office. The UKIS Executive Board responds to new and emerging issues by setting up working groups to examine them in depth. Through the voluntary efforts of its members and encouragement by government, UKIS has achieved a lot over the years. We've rolled out free, family-friendly filters for the vast majority of broadband customers with prompts to encourage parents to activate them. We've supported developers and providers of social media and interactive services with a guide to encourage safety by design to help them make their platforms safer for those under the age of 18. We have created advice for schools and colleges on how to respond to incidences of things such as sexting, and also to provide guidance for school governors on online safety. And I'm especially excited about the work UKIS has started on digital resilience. This brings together individuals from the education sector, parents, industry, and expert civil society organizations with young people themselves. What do I mean by digital resilience? Well, it's all those things that we can do to stay safe online when we're interacting with people that we meet on the internet. Many of you may act in such a way without thinking. Sometimes it's common sense, but sometimes, frankly, it isn't. And we have to ensure that young people in particular know and recognize the dangers and can act accordingly with confidence. So we continue to investigate what help and advice there is out there and how it can be improved. We want to see what more we can do to ensure that children and young people have the digital skills and the emotional understanding and intelligence to feel empowered and to lead safe lives digitally. It's very ambitious work, and it's through this focused working groups that the UKIS board is able to respond to new and emerging threats and issues. Another extremely important area of my work is combating child sexual exploitation online. The government is determined to rid the web of indecent images of children, and we continue to work closely with partners like the Internet Watch Foundation and major global technology companies to stamp out this horrendous crime. But the sexual exploitation of children online cannot be dealt with by one country, one company or organization alone working in isolation. A coordinated global response is needed to address this emerging global threat. The We Protect Global Alliance to End Child Sexual Exploitation Online is that response. It is a global coalition of over 70 countries, technology firms, and organizations committed to national and global action to end online sexual exploitation of children, working together to identify and safeguard more victims of this terrible crime and to apprehend more perpetrators. And I'm proud that the UK government leads this work and has established this organization and will continue to support it for years ahead. It was founded by our government nearly 2 years ago, and since then it's merged with the Global Alliance Against Child Sexual Abuse Online. This has created, for the first time, a single global initiative with the expertise, influence, and resources to transform how this crime is dealt with worldwide. By joining up our efforts across national borders, we can guarantee children the future they deserve and the security and safety in the digital world. I want to leave you with a final thought. Since the IGF started 11 years ago now, the generation of under 18s has been quietly but steadily increasing their stake in the areas that you're discussing today. Last year, the IWF's mandate was renewed for another 10 years. Can you imagine what this cohort will think of the internet then? They will be setting up businesses, programming with the same ease as type of text messages today, and coming up with the next generation of technology. Some might be following your footsteps and be thinking about internet governance. So my appeal to you is to continue to incorporate children and young people into your thinking. As you consider your areas of work, research, and new trends, and as you wonder how technology will impact society in the future, consider the interests of children and the opinions of young people, which you'll hear from next. Help them participate in the journey because you know it, they will be right next to you in the future deciding what's next and what lies ahead. Thank you very much.